Have you ever had somebody tell you that you could make more money by increasing your EQ? What is EQ? Do you know? But before we start, let me start by introducing our great audience who's in the room. EQ is different from IQ. IQ, you're born with it. EQ is a skill set you can learn. So let me go by explaining with an example that I met at my previous job. This is Dr. Catherine Stream. She was my manager, and she was a very busy person. She had a big organization, and she used to deal with hiring, firing people, vendors, partnering companies. And on a weekly basis, she used to travel to 2 locations, so around 40 weeks a year. So again, busy, traveling. So how did she manage to keep her EQ up? What did she do, and what helped her? So let's start by self-awareness. EQ has 4 different assets that we look at. So the first one is self-awareness. How did she do on self-awareness? She knew she was a busy person. So how would she deal with her organization? She kept her calendar open to her direct reports. That way, if they needed to touch base with her, they knew where she was. The other thing is, she knew the organization, she knew she was busy, and the thing is, whenever you called her, she was always calm about things because she was confident in her work. So here I would rate her a high on the self-awareness. The next one is self-management. How did she do on self-management? Whenever she talked to people, she would give her full attention. She would take care to make sure that she's giving her full attention. And anything that she could not do, she would delegate. But one thing I liked about this person was she would follow up on the person she delegated to, plus whoever she assigned as a mentor. And the other thing is, she never had a tantrum. The 2 years that I knew her, she did not have a tantrum. She was always calm. She was always, not only competent, but calm, basically. And I knew that travel 40 to 45 weeks, every week, in and out, going, you have, it gets onto you. But she never complained. So here I would rate her as a high, too. The next thing is social awareness. How did she do on social awareness? The thing about her was, if you went to talk to her about something, she would always first listen to you, get everything from you, then she would give her input. She would not interrupt you. For example, in staff meetings also, she would go around the table getting updates from people, but if she sensed there's a problem, she would try to bring it up in the staff meeting, but otherwise, then she would try with the person offline and then follow up. So that was a great way for her to work on her relationship with the people. The other thing is, she would always give people full attention, but that way she got the pulse of the organization. She knew what was going on. That's why she was also confident. So here also I would rate her as a high. The next one is relationship management. Here, how did she take care of people in her organization? First thing she did was birthday cards. You sent an email. She used to handwrite birthday cards to 200 staff members. Then she would go to each person, give them 1 minute, 2 minutes, see them in their own environment, and see how they're doing. And maybe learn from what they're doing, what are the issues or what are the things that are working right. In one-on-one discussions with me, one of the things that I liked about her, after we discussed the projects, she would say, are you satisfied here? If I hesitated to answer that question, she would say, what can I do to improve on it? So, I mean, how many times have I heard that? But that was a thing about her that she did very well. And the other thing is, whenever she left us with a positive thought, like, have a great weekend, that project is going great, even if it's a small part of the project, but whenever she parted ways, she had a good thing to say. And she always made sure that you're following the organizational goals. So if you veered off the organizational goals, she would make sure to recommend what to do to follow up. So again, here I would rate her as a high. Overall, I mean, She was a great boss to work with, so she did a good job with everybody. Now the takeaways from here, what is EQ? Again, it's a skill set that you can learn on and you can build. So, you know, if you don't have a high EQ, don't worry about it. And why EQ? Because it's not only good for you, it's also good for people around you, the people you interact with. And one of the studies that showed was that 90% of high performance had a high EQ, and only 20% of the low performance had a high EQ. So you can see high EQ, high performers do need high EQ. And if nothing else works there, if every percentage point on a EQ level, actually the research showed that they did, was it increased your income about $1,300 a year. So it is a money in the bank of high EQ. So if you want to take what the takeaway is, high EQ is good for you. It's a skill you can learn. And thank you very much for participating in this presentation. Appreciate your time. Thank you.